All right, today is Remembrance Day. Remembrance Day is on November 11th every year in Canada. Actually, other countries in the Commonwealth also observe Remembrance Day. Do you know what the Commonwealth is? Well, Commonwealth countries are countries who are somehow linked to the Queen of England, somehow connected to the Queen of England, right? For example, in Canada and Australia, our money still has the Queen's head, where you can see the Queen's face on our money for some reason, right? So there's some kind of connection there. So those countries are called Commonwealth countries. Sorry, I've lost my voice today, so you'll have to bear with me. But I wanted to make a video today because some people were asking me a few days ago, "Hey Mark, why are you wearing a red flower in some of your videos?" Well, this flower is called a poppy. Okay, now on Remembrance Day and a few weeks before Remembrance Day in Canada, you'll see people wearing a poppy. Okay, so if you want to wear a poppy, you can just get one at any store. When I was shopping one day out in a store, I thought, oh, I should just buy a poppy. You don't really buy them. You'll see a donation box at checkout. Right, when you go shopping, whatever you want to buy, some clothes or something, when you go to checkout, you might see a little donation box with some poppies beside it. So you can just take a poppy and just put in a few coins, like a quarter. I think I put in a few quarters or something like that, right? Maybe not even $1, right? Just to the donations go to the veterans. Okay, so that's what Remembrance Day is. It's a day to remember all the people who have died fighting for the freedom that we enjoy in Canada. Okay, so that's why it's called Remembrance Day. Remembrance Day. And usually on Remembrance Day, if you go to a school or something, there will be a moment of silence, right? Everybody will observe a moment of silence where you just remember all the sacrifice that was made for our freedom. So everybody just sits in silence for, 20 or 30 seconds. I don't think it's a minute. It always goes by really fast. I don't think it's a full minute. But so yeah, that's Remembrance Day. And the slogan for Remembrance Day is "Lest we forget." Lest we forget. Do you know what lest means? Lest is sorry, my throat is giving out. My voice is giving out. Giving out means it's losing some power, right? I don't know if I can finish this video, but I'll try my best. I'll give it a shot. Okay, what was I saying? Something about Remembrance Day. Oh yeah, about lest. Okay, lest means otherwise we will forget, or so that we don't forget, right? Lest we forget. It means we can forget, right? I mean, if you don't remember something, you forget it, right? If you don't remember your English vocabulary, then you forget it, right? It's the same thing. If we don't remember all the sacrifice that was made for our freedoms in Canada, then we will forget it. And that's why the slogan is "Lest we forget." We shouldn't forget where we came from. We shouldn't forget what happened. We need to remember it. That's why it's called Remembrance Day. Now, you might not know this, but during the World Wars, Canada had a draft. Okay, a draft. That means normal people had to join the army. Normal people had to take up arms. Take up arms means join the army and go fight. Fight. So, poor farmers in Canada had to go and fight the Nazis in Holland and France, right? Normal people like me. Imagine if I was living back then in the wars, not even that long ago, less than 100 years ago, right? If I was living then, I would have been drafted. Okay, I would have gotten drafted. That means I'd have to, to go over there and fight. Can you imagine me going over to Holland, landing on a beach in France or Holland and fighting? I've been to Holland, the Netherlands, and I've seen those bunkers, those old bunkers. Right now it's just farmland. Now you can just see sheep walking in and out of the bunkers. But I've seen those, and boy, that'd be scary. That would be scary, right? I'm not a trained soldier, right? None of those guys, just normal Canadian farmers, they were, they were just peaceful people. They weren't trained soldiers, but they had to join the army and go over there and fight. So yeah, Remembrance Day is to remember the sacrifice of Canadians and other, like I said, it's not just Canada. It was the Allied forces against the Nazis. Now, have you ever wondered what the world would be like if the Nazis had won the war? Actually, I'm watching a TV show. Well, it's not on TV. It's on Amazon Prime. Okay, the show is called The Man in the High Castle. It's on Amazon Prime. It's one of the best shows I've ever seen because it explores the idea of what would have happened. What would the world be like now if the Nazis had won? And so that's where the show takes place. It takes place after the war, after the Nazis won. And so there's sort of the Nazi part and the Japanese Pacific Empire. And it's just a really interesting... There's a plane flying over my condo, which is normal here at Mad English TV. But anyway, yeah, so really interesting. It's an interesting concept, for a show. But yeah, it's fascinating to think, what would happen in history if a different group had won. It's sort of a sobering thought. But anyway, so Remembrance Day is to remember, all our men and women, brave men and women who basically, died. And not just the people who died, but the people who were injured, physically or psychologically, emotionally scarred from the war. Basically anybody who has served for Canadian freedom. So that's what the day is. Now, people who have served in the army are called veterans, or just vet for short, right? Vets, right? So in the news you might hear something about we should take care of our vets. So a vet is is short for veteran, and it means someone who served in the military, right? But actually, the word vet is also short for a different word, and that word is veterinarian. So a vet is an animal doctor. Okay, so vet can mean two things. It can mean a veteran or a veterinarian. Now, the word veterinarian, you can pronounce it two ways: veterinarian or veterinarian. Can you hear the difference? Veterinarian or veterinarian. Vetr. It's sort of you can choose whichever way you want to pronounce it. Veterinarian, veterinarian. Okay, so the word kind of sounds like veteran, right? It might be easy to get those two words mixed up. Veteran, veterinarian. A veterinarian takes care of sick animals. A veteran fights or has fought, right? A veteran is a person who did fight, and now, they're usually, when people think of a vet, they think of like an old person, someone who is like maybe 80 or 90 years old who served in in a war, and now they're retired, and they're not fighting anymore. So that's a veteran, and an animal doctor is a veterinarian. Now, a person could be both, right? There might be a veteran who is also a veterinarian, right? Maybe they used to fight in the military and now they're an animal doctor. So then you could say they are a veteran veterinarian. And if they only eat vegetables, then they would be a veteran veterinarian vegetarian. Think about that. That's a tongue twister for you. A tongue twister is something as like a phrase that is hard to say, right? It's hard to say that. Veteran, vegetarian, veterinarian. Veteran, veterinarian, vegetarian. Veteran, vegetarian, veteran, veterinarian, vegetarian. Try saying that a few times really fast. So yeah, those three words sound pretty similar. A vegetarian is a person who only eats vegetables. Actually, no. A vegetarian is a person who doesn't eat meat. Most vegetarians, I think they still eat eggs, and some vegetarians might even eat fish. I'm not sure, but they drink milk. Now, vegans are more strict. Vegans don't eat any animal products. No honey, no milk, no cheese, no. So vegans are more strict. But I think a lot of vegetarians, they just mainly eat vegetables. But they also eat some other stuff too, like cheese, maybe, and milk, honey, that kind of stuff. Okay, so anyway, a veteran is a person who used to serve in the military. A veterinarian is a person who takes care of sick animals, and a vegetarian is a person who eats vegetables. Okay, anyway, so yeah, I just wanted to make a video to talk about Remembrance Day, to explain why. It's a good question, Mark, why are you wearing a poppy? So remember, this is called a poppy, right? And the reason it's a poppy is because over in those fields in Netherlands and France, right, there were a lot of poppies. Actually, there was a famous poem that was written called "In Flanders Fields." Okay, yeah, I'll post the poem here so you can just pause the video and read it if you want. But it talks about poppies. There were like flowers everywhere in these fields right over there. So if you're from France or Netherlands, let me know. Are there poppies? And I've been to Netherlands. I can't remember if I saw poppies there, but I think there are there are some poppies growing over there in those. Man, imagine, I've been, when I go to Europe, it feels like such a peaceful place, It's hard to believe that those fields were filled with blood, violence, war, conflict, two basically superpowers, the Allies and the Nazis colliding, just on those peaceful fields, right? It's hard to believe that really happened, and it was just normal people, So yeah, that's sort of a sad, sobering thought. So Remembrance Day is not really a celebration. People don't throw a party on Remembrance Day. It's more of a solemn. That's why we use the word observe, not really celebrate. Okay, people don't celebrate Remembrance Day. They observe Remembrance Day. It means you think about it. You sort of, sometimes the word celebrate and observe sort of can mean the same thing. But yeah, there's a little difference there, right? So you'd say we're celebrating Christmas, we're celebrating Thanksgiving, we're celebrating my birthday. You wouldn't say I'm observing my birthday or I'm observing Christmas. That would just sound a bit weird, because those occasions, those holidays are meant to be, joyous, festive holidays. You're supposed to be happy. Whereas, if you remember Good Friday is another example, to remember the death of Jesus. It's not really like, if you go to a church on Good Friday, you're not going to hear a bunch of like celebration. It's going to be more like solemn, to remember a sad occasion. Okay, so that's the difference between, celebrate and observe. But anyway, there you know. Now you know what a poppy is, why we celebrate, or not celebrate, why we observe Remembrance Day on November 11th. And you know the difference between veterinarian and vegetarian. All right, well, I better stop this lesson before my throat completely gives out. But hope you guys are having a wonderful day, and I'll see you over in the next episode of Mad English TV. Take care.